Hello, this is Penny's Place, and this is astrological forecast for Sagittarius, Saturn effects. And I decided to do this one because Saturn's getting ready to come back and visit Sagittarius right after Scorpio, which is 2015. So let's take a look at everything that's happened to you, Sag, and see everything you've had to go through before Saturn comes back to check on you again. On December 30th, 1988, when Saturn got to you, she found you busy traveling long distance. Your legal partnerships suffered from bad communications, and you were making money in some type of rescue service, such as ambulance, lifeguard, abuse shelter, or something like that. And for whatever reason, you had no residents or family on the radar, and this was a concern to Saturn, as she is all about security and longevity. So outside of a travel trailer or motel, there appears to be no grounded residence in your chart. So it's safe to say that this is where Saturn decides to go to work to get you grounded. And with Uranus in your first house, it's going to be tough getting your attention. And so it really wasn't until the mid to late 90s when Uranus moved into your finances that Saturn could do much of anything to slow you down. There were control issues due to an institution and a loved one which had donated to your cause of remaining mobile. But at that time you had a few friends who were in law enforcement or other legal affairs, and you made a point of acquiring quite a few. Anyway, although you were enjoying your freedom, Saturn knew this couldn't go on forever. And in the mid-90s, when Uranus got close enough to get your money house, you got, at first, more money, which like Aries, you spent on romance and recreation. And by 2000, Saturn tried to control your money, and some of you took a job with the government, some met a serious accident and collected, and some of you hooked up with the underworld and avoided Saturn any way you could. And so Saturn gave up on those who avoided her and rewarded those who chose to work for her, which is to say government, lumber, construction, or elderly people work. And then, in August of 2000, Saturn rewards the people working for her with a government-paid car. The rest, well, settled down either by no other choice or old age and restrictions on driving. And Venus was in your sign then, and Cupid pulled a few strings to help Saturn bring you to your senses about slowing down, at least long enough to get a roof. But Neptune, the dreamer and deceiver, was next door to your home, and where you were busy and away from home, paid a visit to your marriage long enough to poison, and a few years later ended your marriage. Well, before 2000 was over, some of you mixed narcotics with driving and met an abrupt end to that idea. And if you survived, you were under health restrictions and bone injuries, and that didn't come cheap. And now you really needed narcotics, but for pain, not pleasure. And for some of you, keeping your spouse away from the money and meds was tough. And when you got on your feet, you were constantly driving to the spouse and keeping the marriage partner in view while trying to pursue legal help from your legal friends. They helped you keep an eye out when you couldn't. And then, by June 2001, a death in the family creates more legal pressure, and the legal papers started coming in. And some were from guess who? And now the lies appear on paper, but at least now you're back in control of your life. By 2002, you could start to enjoy life once again. And you still had more deaths to deal with in the family, but you are stronger now and deal with death a little better than before. And you had support from your legal friends. And this is why I over E is stressed in Saturn life lessons. Making your choices intellectually instead of emotionally is very important. In this case, Saturn fails to settle Sag down by waiting for the right one to come along. And by 2003, elders passed away and the house is torn down or sold. By 2005, you stopped traveling long distance. You faced and spent more time with your legal friends and still had to contend with narcotics around your vicinity. But Saturn in your long distance travel had at least managed to slow you down some anyway. So by 2007, Saturn finally succeeds. And for those Sags who did not lose their lives by 2005 and got jobs with the government or went back to carpentry, construction or landscape, or even medical assist. Finally, back to stability, financially anyway. And by 2010, finally some of you married a longtime friend who lived near water. And by 2012, you had at least one child. Saturn finally wins by way of entering Libra in your house of friends. So now she's happy and satisfied and says goodbye in 2012 and enters Scorpio. Beginnings and endings. But she will be back, Sag, in 2015. So, look happy and stay put, Sag. Take care then, and try not to run away this time, Sag. And for those of you Sags who are 30 and under, you listen to my month-to-month starting in July, August. And you boomers, it's time to settle down now. And yes, you can go biking and hiking and whatever, but try to keep a home base now, okay? So take care, and we'll see you later.